Good afternoon, everybody. I am Maverick. This is Stoked Radio episode 12. I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Stoked Radio and its production. Thank you very much for joining me today. Got a couple things we're going to talk about. It's not going to be a very long show, but we do have the Ask Cryptic we're going to kind of go through here at the end of the show, and a bunch of other things we're going to kind of touch base and topic on. And hopefully today I've got no gremlins in the system, so we're going to go right to the live visuals. And yes, the live visuals are working. Thank you very much for joining me. Also, we may do some live gameplay. I don't know. It depends on how well and how things schedule for the day. If that's so, for the live streamer guys here watching on livestream.com/Stoked Radio, you'll be able to see the live gameplay, maybe get some PvP stuff going. Who knows? I have no idea. It all depends on how the rest of the day goes. So thank you. Welcome, everybody in the live stream chat. I see you there. Everybody in the Trek Radio chat who's listening at trekradio.net. Again, I'd like to welcome you all to this episode of Stoked Radio. First thing on the top of the list, let's go ahead and close the main page here. And we're going to talk real briefly about Star Trek London. Now, if for you Euros out there who are listening, if you've never gone to a convention, I don't know how many times I can reiterate, you gotta go. If you do one thing big, okay, let's just say this. If you can go to this one, go to this one. And then if it's your first one, kind of get the idea about, what kind of experience you're going to be looking at. And then the next one, just go huge. I mean, go all out. Stay as long as you can. Do every possible thing. See every possible show. You just got to. Because it's one of those things where it's an experience you'll never forget. And I keep telling people when it comes to Star Trek fans that, it's a huge family. It doesn't matter if you're overseas, if you're local, it doesn't matter. I've met people at Star Trek Las Vegas who said that was their 20th or 21st convention, and you see them, meet up, and when they're getting in line for their registrations, you hear hey, how's it going? People who you never think you'd ever see and don't even live local to you, they come together and they meet, and it was just a really great time. I also see that they're once again continuing to give out the Hololita DOF codes. If you weren't familiar from that promotion from Star Trek Las Vegas, Cryptic had brought some codes which gave you convention veteran title and a limited edition Hololita DOF. There is no other way in game to get this particular DOF. It was only from the Star Trek Las Vegas convention, or depending on, if you listened to my show, or if you were a member of my fleet, I managed to secure a couple of extras. We were able to give them out. Some of the DJs at Trek Radio were able to get them for their shows. So it's just one of those things where it was an all-around great experience, great time. It was nice to have. They've looks like they're saying here the Destination Star Trek London goodie bag. 3-day standard package, and ticket holders will be receiving an exclusive goodie bag from CBS. I don't know where they were for Star Trek Las Vegas, but they better do that for this year around, because I didn't get no goodie bag from CBS. But anyway, you'll find a Star Trek Online informational card that has the code printed on it and how to claim the Lita DOF and stuff like that. You can always follow on Twitter at Trek Online Game, so that they can DM you code and instructions on how to claim the award as well. The trick is to that, you have to tweet a picture of yourself at the convention to their official Twitter account, and they will send you a code that way and instructions on how to claim it. So that's kind of cool too. They're getting into the social media stuff. Also on the Stowe forums, if you send a forum PM to Brandon Feltzer through the link that's on the posting on the Perfect World website, it tells you got to take a picture of yourself at the convention, send it to Brandon through the Stowe forums through a PM, use your link. I don't know if you have to use Instagram or PhotoBucket or whatever photo sharing website you're going to use. Send that picture in from Star Trek London, and they will hook you up with a code as well. Very interesting to see. And I kind of like the way Star Trek London's done their website. I actually kind of like it a little bit better than and this is not to shame creation, but I kind of like this their format better. It's a little bit more flashier, get your attention a little bit more. They're talking about the different stars that are going to be there, and it's not as huge as Star Trek Las Vegas, but it's got its potential. You got Michael Dorn, Andrew Robinson, Sirach Lofton, great guy. Hopefully he'll be bringing his more of his picture that he attributed to Avery Brooks at the Star Trek Las Vegas convention. Sean Kennedy, Trisha O'Neill, David Warner. You know, and you know, the list just goes on for all the cast and crew and, you know, influential people in Star Trek that are going to be there. Now, if you're aware, the next major series as far as 2013 goes is what they're calling the DS920, you know, 20th anniversary for Deep Space Nine. And there's going to be a lot of people there. You London people get a bonus that we didn't get in Vegas, as Patrick Stewart's going to be there. I guess it's kind of closer for him to, you know, roll from home to the London than to the States. But still, it's going to be a very interesting one. Chase Masterson's also going to be there. If you have a chance to meet Chase Masterson at the convention, you gotta go. It's about time some UK fans got some love. Yeah, I agree, Omega, who says in the chat. But it's a great convention. If you've never gone, you gotta go. Tickets are still available. You can easily get a hold of them. Sign up. You just go to the website for them. It's StarTrekLondon.com. Get all your information now. Book your hotel room. It's 12 days away. They got the little ticker timer going on right there. 12 days. Get in on it, because it's something that you're never going to forget. I have never had a chance to meet Patrick Stewart directly in person. Other than Star Trek Las Vegas, like I've told people in the past, the last convention I was at was way back in 1996. So it's a completely different experience. But again, if you get a chance to do it, you got to go. It's just one of those things where you're never going to forget it. It's going to be an experience that you're going to want to repeat year after year. Again, if you can afford it. You know, it's just one of those things. Also for the Trek Radio people and for the live stream people, I'm going to throw a link here in the chat here. If you have TeamSpeak, you are more than welcome to join me on my fleet, my Jupiter Force TeamSpeak, and you can stand by there in case I go live to the actual TeamSpeak, and you can join in on the conversations and come live on the air with me. Like I said, we're going to be covering a couple other things, and I always like to get the opinions of my listeners. We're also covering a couple of interesting, actually not a couple, we're covering a bug that I was just told about recently, and we're going to put some light on it, and maybe you guys can tell me whether it's affecting your gameplay or not. I've got Wee in the chat room, and I'm hoping to get a couple other people down who were testing out this bug, and we're going to talk about that one a little bit later. So, moving on from Star Trek London, the linking promo. Now, let's just say that this has been an interesting transitioning from, you know, a Cryptic Space account to a Perfect World account. Some people had it was easy, some people didn't, but they're saying the linking promo is going to be ending soon. And quite simply, they say the account linking will become non-optional. It's just going to automatically tell you, look, you can't sign in with your Cryptic account anymore. You got to have a Perfect World account in order to log in and play the game. If you didn't already do it, a lot of people have already. Most players who've been playing should have already done it. But if you haven't done it already, it's you get 5,000 unrefined dilithium ore, a consumable item that grants 2,500 XP. A rare or very rare weapon scaled to your level, a random pack of self-dual consumables, and a random pack of team-dual consumables. Now, I'm going to tell people, a lot of people thought this was going to be account-wide. It can only be claimed once on an account, so it's only it's only claimed on one character. So you got to make sure that if you haven't linked your account before you claim this thing from the box, you got to make sure that you have the character that you want it on. So if you're thinking about rolling a new character and you do the account linking, wait till you roll the new character and then claim all that stuff. It's a quick, easy boost, to get you started. And, it's really not, now I guess it's a little bit easier now that they've worked all the bugs out of the linking system, and again, you can find that available right on the Perfect World website to tell you about it's titled Linking Promo Ending Soon. If you haven't done it, you might want to do it soon before you end up being locked out of your game. It's that simple. Friday screenshots, we all know the Wells class, the temporal destroyer for both the Federation and the Klingon. I have not gotten a Wells class ship yet. My fleet has put me on what I nickname, what I started calling a 12 keys program, and then I started, it's been called a 12-step program. I've been told to stop spending money on on lockboxes. I went through 10,000 Zen. I went through 100 keys, and while I got all kinds of stuff, and some mirror ships. I did not get the Wells ship. I did, however, manage to get all the temporal equipment, just in case I'm, I just in case I have friends out in the world who gift me the item. And I've had fans gift me stuff before. I'm not asking, but it's happened before, and it'd be nice to have it. But I do not have the Wells class ship. My primary character is an engineer, so I'm more interested in the Wells science ship than I am the Mobius destroyer or the Wells destroyer. So very interesting looking ships. It's been a lot of fun playing with the lockbox. Probably the most fun I've had playing with the lockboxes since a while. Jupiter Force took away my keys, giving me a no lockbox addiction thing. Hey, this is what I have a fleet for, to keep things fun and keep things interesting. Suffice to say, I have 2 lifetime accounts. One was for my girlfriend, one was for me. She stopped playing a long time ago, and I logged into her account and pretty much absorbed 5,000 Zen from her, and then I purchased 5,000 Zen for myself. So that's how I managed to get all my keys. So actually I spent about $50-$60 overall. It's been a while since I had put money into the game per se, from just dilithium conversion to Zen and stuff like that. So I'm still supporting the game I love. You can't fault me for that. I'm still supporting the game I love. Even if you buy 1 key and you spend $12 or whatever, hey, it is what it is. I'm still supporting the game I love, and they're still making it fun for me so far. It's got its ups and downs, but I'm still having fun. How many Lobi crystals do I have now was asked of me in the chat room. I bought all 3 pieces of the temporal set, and I bought the let's see here. I bought the the temporal uniform, the relativity phaser rifle, and the relativity pistol. I think I've got about. It's pretty low. I don't have too much because I've pretty much spent it all. I'm lucky if I have maybe 26 Lobi overall for the whole thing. So it was weird. Some people have said that Mavis commented on insider trading. I've heard people saying, well, when you get a ship, you get more Lobi. There's some rumors floating around about, I've gotten 100 Lobi out of a box, or the highest I ever got, I think, was like 15 or 25. Somebody said they got 100. That's a huge, awesome drop. But they said you only get those high Lobi marks when you get like a box with a ship inside of it. And I don't mean the mirror ship, because I had tons of those. I mean, I started throwing those in the fleet bank. I started giving them away to people. So it's just I don't know. It's completely and totally random. But for those guys with deep pockets who keep getting keys out there, if you happen to come across another one that you're not going to sell for like 98 million EC on the market or whatever it is right now, I'm willing to take a donation, and believe me, I'll plug your name and plug your fleet and give you some airtime or whatever you want. If you send me one, I'll take it and I'll give you all the credit in the world. Anything that I could do to show it on the show. And hello, Bridger and Wee Wee and everybody in the chat room there. Somebody's like, hello in the TeamSpeak chat. So moving along, Starbase featured project number 7. I was kind of excited and got real giddy, because last week, if you remember, I was talking about where's my table. I've been waiting for the conference table for ages, and then sure enough, boom, they lay the table out on me. So I was excited to finally get my conference table with chairs that you can sit in, a meeting room. So it was like, this is freaking perfect. I love it. I had been waiting for it for a while. I did a little epic sad face because the models on the wall, I wish we were able to modify and change those, just like you can on your bridge, but I can understand there's probably a mechanics issue with that. Also, the table really glares a lot, depending on what angle you're at, and looking at it, it becomes a super bright white spot on the screen, and it gets a little annoying. So it would have been nice if the table, I understand the table being a glass table was cool, but it would have been nice if it wasn't so damn reflective, because the lights on there just sometimes just like, it's a little, but whatever. I'm not going to argue. I got my table. I can hold my fleet meetings there and stuff like that. But I started a pool, a kind of a secret pool on my fleet forums. What's the next Starbase project going to apply, or what's going to show up? And I'm hoping it's the dance floor. Or I'm not saying I'm not hoping it's the dance floor. I'm going to say that I bet you the next project is going to be the dance floor. Some people saying a bathroom. That's funny. What would you like to see the next featured project be? Seriously, honestly. I've been waiting for the dance floor as well, because I'd like to kind of do my Jupiter Station show that I do early in the mornings on Saturday, which is pretty much all music. I'd like to be able to hold a dance party on my Starbase, which would be nice, for the fans and stuff like that. We can do stuff, maybe play a little bit of triple soccer, whatever it may be. It'd be nice to have a place that is not so much public, but you can do the public invites to your base. So I think it'd be awesome if they put it in. It was originally in on Tribble, and we haven't seen it since. So it would be nice to have them put it in there. There's plenty of space for it. It's supposed to be up by the for the Feds. I don't know about the KDF station, and I'll have to figure that out. But over on the Fed station, it's up by the bar, and there's a perfect spot for it. And I'm just waiting for them to pull it all in there. So it would be nice if they put it in there. Can't make them put it in there, but it would be nice if they put it in there. So anyway, moving right along. So my bet is that it's going to be the dance floor. Don't quote me on it, but if it happens, hey, awesome. Again, it'd be great to have parties or fleet events or fleet parties or even show parties come to the fleet base. And stuff like that. But I do want to see your ideas or hear your ideas about what you think should be in these featured projects. Some people were griping. I know I kind of griped about the last one being just the security officers kind of placed all over the place. I thought that was kind of, for $200,000 dilithium, I didn't think that was one of those projects that was like, dude, that's kind of lame. Could we have come up with something different? I would still love to see an implementation of a fleet uniform for the Starbase. You have all this specific programming for the fleet Starbase. Why can't you uniform or get an option to uniform the officers, or not the officers, but even the NPCs that are walking around in a specific uniform of your design? Again, I don't know the mechanics behind that, but I think that would be cool. So again, you can email me your ideas, maverick@stokedradio.net. You can come to the jupiterforce.org forums. You can easily drop it into the show notes, or not the show notes. You can drop it into the plannings and suggestions thread that's there. It's open to the public. All you got to do is register on the forums and drop me a line that way. And also, that'll give you the direct link to a lot of the replays and the audio replays and stuff like that as well. So moving along, Spotlight on the Foundry. Now I try to cover the Spotlight on the Foundry every week, just a little bit, to really pay tribute to some of the prolific writers and the skills that are out there in the Foundry. This week's Spotlight on the Foundry is called Keeping Up with the, and I swear to God I'm gonna butcher this. I'm just gonna say the Sens, because I'm assuming the J is silent. Keeping Up with the Sens by Casmodian. It's a Federation mission. Anybody can play it. The mission summary simply is the Sens, a non-aligned race, have asked the Deferi for aid in resettling a remote colony away from the front lines of the Federation and Klingon conflict. The Deferi ambassador to the Federation has requested assistance in fulfilling this mission. So it sounds very diplomatical. I have not had a chance to play it. I will try to play it sometime this week, and and try to get a review back on it. Let us know what you think of it again as well, and I will forward it off to the Foundry Files guys so they can cover it. And if you're not aware, Foundry Files has made its return. They just put out their first episode last week. You can catch it on demand. Livestream.com/Stoked Radio. There, if you go to the on-demand folders, you can click Foundry Files, and their episode is going to be right there on demand. So you'll be able to pick it up. It also plays on the channel whenever I'm not live doing Stoked Radio. Jupiter Station TV plays 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it will be streaming the most recent episodes of Stoked Radio, a selected episode from the original Stoked, and any recent episodes of the Foundry Files. And I'll try to keep it loaded and keep it fresh and keep it cycling, along with, you know, some other comedic stuff. We'll try to throw some other videos in there to make it interesting to watch if you're kind of watching at home or whatnot and watching the Jupiter station. Yes, I'm aware it's in standard definition. Money talks and internet walks sometimes, and it's just the way it works. But always fun to keep upgrading the technology and adding more and more to the show. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on the TeamSpeak guys here. And what I'm going to do with the TeamSpeak guys is we recently were talking about, it was brought to my attention about a shield bug or a discrepancy. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to call it a bug or a discrepancy because it's still under investigation. But I'm going to let Wee and Bridger talk about their findings here. And what I'm going to pull up is, I'm going to pull up an image here. Right now, it's on the forums, the Perfect World forums, and I'll go ahead and link. I'll put the link here in the chat for everybody to be able to kind of pull this up. And if you're following along, hey, great. If not, you can go ahead and reference it later. But I want to bring it to your attention. I'm going to let these guys bring it to your attention and take it from here in just a second. But what it is apparently there's a shield bug in comparison to regular ships and fleet ships. So, Bridger, Wee, go ahead and take it.
Okay, basically, the first thing we found was, well, first of all, shield modifiers are modifiers on ships which determine the shield capacity as well as the shield system skill and the skill tree of your ship. So, the higher the shield modifier, the more points into ships, the shield capacity you have. But what we found is that in Bridges' case, he was comparing a shield modifier value with the Fleet Saber, which is 0.77, to the Fleet Defiant, which is 0.9. And what they found was, with the same points into shield systems and the same shield, and even Bridger with the superior field generator, that Lee's, who was flying the Saber, Lee's shield capacity was higher by 600 points-ish, even though it has a lower shield modifier. Now, I did a similar test on my Fleet Quinn Heavy Raptor on the Klingon side and my Fleet Scourge Destroyer, both having a 0.92 in shield modifiers, and I put exactly the same equipment on, and my Fleet Scourge had superior shields nonetheless.
Now, are you seeing a noticeable difference in combat when it comes to this particular situation?
Yes, we are actually, because, for example, the Saber, that's an extremely low shield modifier. When Bridger went up against the Saber, whose shield modifier is in question, that shield modifier seemed to really be combat effective, basically meaning that if it was a lower one, if it was just a UI problem, then these shields would have been going down like nothing. But because the shield was staying up all the time, it made no sense. And I've also ran several tests on my own with my Raptor and my Scourge Destroyer, and my Scourge Destroyer shield seemed to be much higher a lot of the time.
Okay, so Omega in the chat room is asking, what exactly is the real problem? Separate from all the tech talk, dumbing it down, and I hate to use the word dumbing it down, because even me, I don't get some of the tech talk too. I get lost in this stuff. What exactly does that translate into? What kind of problem is this creating for players or for the end user? You know, what are you seeing as an actual problem that this is creating?
Basically, what it means is that the fleet ships, which are usually supposed to have a lower shield modifier, like the normal retrofit ones of lower tiered ships, like the Saber in this case, usually should have lower shield modifiers, and in combat shields should be going down faster, but they're not. Okay. And it seems the fleet ships are stronger than they look.
So basically what it's boiling down to is the fleet variants are ending up stronger than they're actually posting. Now, Omega says, yeah. So what? Again, it's one of those things where when we pick up on different little bugs or different little mathematical issues when it comes to my fleet, because we do a lot of different research in these things, depending on how the text is, depending on how the ship is built, people spec their ships and they set up knowing, okay, well, these are going to be the statistics that I have to work with. These are the numbers I have. I plug all this stuff in. So for most people, this is going to be a bonus. Obviously, oh, well, I'm just going to go and get the fleet ship and, I'm going to have this inherent hidden bonus in my shields. But for the average player who doesn't have it, especially for PvP imbalance, and, PvP has been hurting for a while, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not quite fair just because he has a fleet ship and it's supposed to be, at this level, yet he's getting an additional unregistered bonus. So, again, it's still in early investigations. This is what they found yesterday. And our guys do a lot of, when it comes to Jupiter Force, we do a lot of, fleet combat, interfleet PvP and stuff like that. And they really test the crap out of a lot of these builds, just so they have the best possible math that they can come up with. Now, one person's math is not, the same as another person's math. And then one person's bug is not, is an exploit that say, hey, shut up, it's a bonus in the fleet ships. Sometimes if it's just one of these things where it's like they just want confirmation on, hey, is this working as intended, or is there a bonus that we didn't know about that's hidden that is nice to know, because then more people will want to buy fleet ships. I mean, if it's an inherent hidden bonus, like, oh, well, if you buy this fleet ship, you're going to get not only the listed shield modifier, but even more additional shields. It might, poke more people to want to invest in fleet operations and fleet stuffs. So that's basically what it boils down to. So,
yeah, and it's also the balancing. The Saber has 4 engineering consoles, a low shield modifier. The Defiant only has 3 engineering console slots, but a higher shield modifier. That's balancing out, but the Saber now has both.
Right. So, I appreciate having you guys on. I'm going to go ahead and mute you guys again real quick on the TeamSpeak until we get to the next topic. Thank you, Bridger and Wee for coming on and joining me for that. Again, you can always pick it up. I put the link in the chat. Anybody can sit there and make their comments, questions, concerns, see what they think about what's going on with that. So now what we're going to talk about here real quick as we get ready toward the end of the show here is the Ask Cryptic. And I'll go ahead and reactivate the chat here, and we'll go through the Ask Cryptic piece by piece. Again, if you're listening on the TeamSpeak now, you're going to probably hear an echo or a delay. Pick whichever audio stream you want to listen to, whether you're listening to the live stream, Trek Radio, or the TeamSpeak here. And I apologize for some reason. If you guys are trying to message me from Star Trek Online onto the Trek Radio chat, apparently there's a problem. I just lost the signal to that, so I'm not able to see your chat and you're talking if you're talking on the Star Trek Online site. I don't know what's going on with that, but the repeater for the Star Trek Online chat through the Trek Radio chat has gone down. It timed out. We're working on getting that restored, hopefully very, very soon. In the meantime, you can go ahead and just, if you're, you can just send messages through the Trek Radio chat channel. Hopefully it'll pick it up. Omega in the chat before we move on to the Ask Cryptic asks, do I have a problem with the fleet ships having stronger shields than the normal shields? Yeah, David, again, it went out. That's why I said it, just in case you didn't hear it, and if you were listening, it went down again. So David's one of our tech guys, one of our high-speed guys over at Trek Radio is going to try to get on that and figure out what's going on with the echo. So, Omega says in the chat, do you have a problem with the fleet ships having a stronger shield system than normal ships? No, absolutely not. In fact, that would be something that I would hope would be in place. You put all this work into fleet-based progression, and you get all these ships. And for the longest time, and there was a lot of griping about the ships. It was like, oh, these ships are just variants, and they're not that great, and the way there's the bridge slots and the way the weapons are slotted, it just didn't seem like it was, it just didn't seem like it was right. So it's not so much a problem. It's just that, when we have our math guys go through and pick apart builds and stuff like that, they happen to come across, hey, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right. It's not matching. The ship says it's supposed to have this stat, and I know I have these stats. Why is it eking out better? Is there a hidden value we don't know about? Is there a bonus we don't know about? We're not going to, if it's working as a client exited, okay, there, it died again. It's one of those things where, you know, like I said, for those hardcore shipbuilders, for those hardcore players who, you know, min-max everything to the best of their ability, that extra 600 points in shields is not something they're aware of. Now, obviously, again, like I said, they're not going to complain, and I don't think it's so much a complaint, it's just an observation. Is this the way it is? And, you know, we're going to test it on other ships and see, you know, if that's true for other ships. And if it is, and if it's across the board, hey, great. Like I said, I'm not going to complain. I don't own any of the fleet ships yet. I'm waiting all the way till Tier 5 before I go picking up a fleet ship. But if it's something that I can, you know, look forward to having, hey, more power to me, or more power to those fleet players. But, you know, just like when we originally talked about the old school Voldemort shield exploit, when it was like you could double stack shields way back in the day, you know, and they patched and fixed that one out. So, okay, David, yeah, it looks like the echo's working again. Excellent. So for those people who were playing Star Trek Online and were looking to contribute to the show, apparently the repeater's back up. So we apologize for that downage, and I'm glad you guys are still sticking with us there. So it's just one of those things where, you know, it's not so much a complaint, it's just an observation. It's like, hey, if this is the way it is, then so be it. If it isn't, then it isn't. Hey, all it does is it makes another perk, you know, for having fleet ships. But we just want to make sure, you know, is it a bug? Is it an exploit? Is it working as intended? It's just how we nitpick when it comes to Jupiter Force. Plus, it gave us something to talk about on the show, you know? Anyway. All right, so going on to the Ask Cryptid. Brand new Ask Cryptid came out on the 5th. And I'm not going to go into super details with everything. I'm going to try to, you know, fire through this quickly, but I'll go, you know, line by line so that we can get it all out there. First one on the Ask Cryptic. A while ago we heard talk of a playable first officer system giving captain powers to first officers. Furthermore, there was talk about making bridge officers department heads that would provide bonuses. Are there any new updates on that front? D-Stall responds, as a player achieves the rank of Admiral, we would like the player to take on the responsibilities of developing and managing the ships under their command. There are several features that will be developed to represent this in the game. One of those features is the ability to have your first officer occupy a special additional station on your bridge. We also anticipate admirals being able to assign crew to their ships in their command that can either assist the admiral in space or attempt their own special assignments. Look for these features when we get closer to increasing the skill point cap to admiral. So it sounds like another expansion kind of deal for the DOF system, and possibly some more stuff. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that. I kind of like it because, you know, especially there was, as a fleet admiral, rear admiral, vice admiral, whatnot, it just seems that, you know, the intention was that the fleet admiral would sit at the starbase, now that I have a table, and maybe run and send ships on their own missions, kind of like an expanded, maybe more diverse DOF system. So instead of just sending DOFs on assignments, you'll now be able to send ships out on assignments to explore open sectors and stuff like that. So always interesting to see when they're coming up with new concepts. And it was nice for him to be able to actually answer that question without it being overtly vague. It was vague, but it was still nice. Awesome. Matific asks, it seems that Klingon and Federation war story has fallen by the wayside, and there doesn't seem to be a reason for the factions to be separated anymore. Are there any plans to either reinforce this storyline or drop it altogether and move the narrative forward? D-Stall responds, we plan to move the narrative forward over the next 3 seasons, which means 7, 8, and 9. And now this is the first time I've seen mention of Season 9 now, starting with the indirect attempt by both factions to bring the Romulans to their side of the conflict. Again, they're talking about bringing a lot of Romulan story content, hopefully, I say story content, into the next season and start tying in some stuff with that. So, again, whether the Romulan is just another story base or if it is going to be a completely playable faction, we haven't really been given hint, yes or no, to either one of those. I would assume, God, I hate to use the word assume, that we'll eventually, once the temporal lockbox is retired, I'll look at what the next lockbox has in it, and I think that is what I'll start to use as a judgment toward what's possibly coming down the line. I made comments last week that I thought there should have been at least 1 or 2 tie-in missions, even if they were small missions, to help tie in the temporal lockbox into the storyline. And I'm still hoping that it happens. You know, I can't complain. I'm still hoping that it happens. The Jem'Hadar attack ship. Will we see it again in the winter event, or will there be another chance to get one? D-Stall quickly says, well, we haven't announced if the Jem'Hadar ship will be returning to the winter event. We do promise that there will be another chance to get one in the near future. What exactly is near future? I don't know. I think, as far as I know, every other ship that's come out has had some kind of repeat, either in Lockbox or Lobby or whatnot since then. And it's... nobody's seen the bug ship since then. And a lot of people, I want a bug ship, and I don't even know if there's any on the market or what they're selling for. I haven't checked in a while. I was lucky enough to get one, and I don't even really use it. I mean, I pull it out every once in a while, knock the dust off of it, and go flying around because it's kind of cool, but I don't even really use it. It's not my primary ship. Somebody will end up shooting me, for it later. I'm interested in seeing what they do for this year's winter event. I'm hoping it'll be more expansive, and there'll be more stuff later on. And it's nice to see them activate these temporary maps and bring up stuff for these events. And honestly, that's how they should run these events. They should create, basically, open up like secret little areas, let people in to fool around, and then shut it down. Like, I'm hoping eventually that I know that sounds rude, pull it out once in a while. I know. When I said it, I realized that didn't sound right. I'm waiting to see when they may bring back Utopia Planitia, because we all had that map temporarily when they released the Odyssey. I would like to kind of see it where Utopia comes out every time they release a new ship, not a revamp and not a refit, but I mean, when a new ship comes out, I'd like to see, Utopia Planitia pop out every time so people can maybe get a tour of it. And here's kind of what I'm thinking, now that I think about it. It would be neat that if you were able to, maybe even if you didn't own the ship, let me untie my tongue. If you were able to visit the bridge or visit the halls of that ship, even though you didn't have this ship, but it was only a limited time. You can only see it while it's unlocked at Utopia Planitia, kind of like an open house. So this way, and I'm thinking of it kind of from a marketing point of view, if you were able to see the ship, view it 360, see the whatever their concept bridge is for it, even if it was temporary, would you visit that map? Would you go to Utopia Planitia to see the ship in development? I know I would. You tell me there's a new ship coming out and I don't have it yet, but I can go to Utopia and see the ship, maybe play it in a test mission. Oh, I'd go crazy for it. The map would crash all the time. Ship scrapyards. That would be interesting too. See broken pieces of the ship or something like that. The 5 ship people are going to go crazy this month. The V ship people are going to go crazy. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Omega. But again, yeah. If it was something that was just only for that event, you go to Utopia. Oh, the Vesta, right? You go to Utopia. Say you go onto a holodeck, you run a mission, and you're given that ship, just kind of like the way we were given, even because it was a hologram, but you were flying the Klingon ship God darn it, I had that mission last time. I wish I would have remembered it. My memory gets worse as I get older. Where you're flying around the Klingon ship in the one mission when you travel back in time. Even if it's something like that where you get a real quick shot to get in there and play it. Not the Odyssey mission. It was the one where you're shooting. Thank you, Night of the Comet. God darn it, I don't know why I can't remember that one. But yeah, Night of the Comet, where you go back and you're using that ship. It would just be nice to be able to just create some kind of mission where you get to play it just once. You don't get any. Maybe you get a title for being a ship tester or something like that, or design engineer, or whatnot. Kind of like the way, Geordi went with Dr. Brahms to the holodeck to take apart, the Enterprise engine. It would be nice to just kind of be able to do that. I think that would be great. I think it'd be great story integration. I'm sure a Foundry author can whip something like that together to kind of create it. Doomsday as well. I mean, yeah, you could do it. Well, yeah, Doomsday is another way of doing it as well. The Doomsday mission. Both of those, same scenario where you're able to play that ship. Just create one, open up Utopia, put the new ship there, activate a holodeck, run a mission, just one mission, and it's only there limited time, a week, 2 weeks, or whatever, just like they did with the Odyssey. You don't get the ship, but you get to experience the ship. And I think that from a marketing point of view, and then to sit there and say, okay, now we're shutting that map down, the ship will be available via the Z store for whatever, I think people would really dig that. Because then people sit there and say, I like it, it's interesting. You don't get to customize it really, because it's going to come with whatever it's loaded out with, but it gives you a chance to see it, play it, get the feel for the turn rate and the basics and stuff like that. So, concept that I think is really interesting, that people could do. Might have missed it. It would be cool. It's like thinking for the Starbase content for engineering. Right. So, what about your own shipyard using the Utopia Planitia map set? Another good idea. Why not? Why not create different maps for not only the industrial fabricator or the comm station and stuff like that? Why, they've got these great looking stations out there. Why can't we fly out to them and actually beam onto them? I think that would have been kind of cooler too, especially say you go to the industrial fabricator and you beam onto the fabricator, and there you can do crafting. Or you go down to the shipyard and there you can do ship testing. And you're right, Lord Ballers. Maybe those could be featured feature projects in the future, different maps. There's so many different things that you can add to this game, and me not being a programmer, it really hinders me, because I never really know what it takes to create these kind of things. But I'd love to get a dev on, or a content creator from Cryptic to to really kind of give us an inside idea of what it takes to create these kind of things, to show us, not necessarily don't show us something, although I'm going to say this and people are going to hate me, don't show us something that's new and under development, but show us, show us something about, what it takes to create the content and how long and the time invested, and, if some of the concepts that are out there that people talk about, are even feasible. Just stuff like that. Anyway, long discussion. Let's see here. Going back to the Ask Cryptic, is there going to be a better way to get purple Mark 12 ship consoles? D-Stall says, we will continually add new ways to get items with each season. In Season 7, we are adding some brand new, as well as improved Mark 12 science consoles in the Embassy fleet holding. Until then, the duty officer assignments in the exchange are the only current options. Still excited, keep hearing about this Embassy fleet holding. Not exactly sure how it's all going to work, along with the reputation system and whatnot, but as soon as it ends up on Tribble and we're able to get some testing on it, we'll definitely bring it to you and let you know what we see and what we think of it so far. Are more Borg missions, another question off the Ask Cryptic, are more Borg missions planned, and where there'll be new rewards related to the STFs? D-Stall says, a new Borg-related STF into the Hive, which is not new, we've known about it forever, is launching with Season 7, as well as the new Omega Fleet reputation. As a part of Omega Fleet reputation, you will have the ability to acquire new rewards being made to supplement the existing STF rewards. Whether the rewards are better or worse, I don't know. Omega, you say I should ask Jeremy if he'll come on. I have asked Jeremy in the past if he'll come on the show. He has turned me down. I will ask him again to see if he has anything, but last time I talked to him, he had no interest or ability to come on the show. Again, this was months ago, but we'll see if things have changed since then. I like group missions at Starbase 24, but there are only 2 ground missions, fleet actions. Will there be more? D-Stall says a new 20-man ground fleet action, which takes place on an overrun Romulan colony is coming in Season 7. We will continue to add more ground fleet actions in future updates. Again, they're still throwing out the crumbs for Season 7. I believe they said the release timetable for Season 7 was like the end of November, I think was the original estimate. There wasn't an actual lockdown date. So, Omega says, oh, by the way, I'm happy that Stowe named a fleet after me. Very funny. So, still throwing out those little crumbs for Season 7. Again, we'll tear apart Season 7 when it hits Tribble, and we'll bring all the content to you as soon as we know what we got going on there, just like we did with the fleet progression. And we'll continue on with that, just like we do every other new content. We'll pick it apart, we'll test it, we'll min-max it, and bring all the information we can to you as soon as we can get it. Some people still complaining I've only had one prototype drop, but I play maybe 3 to 4 Borg STFs a day. Others play more, so I'm sure there are more deserving. I got lucky playing the STFs. I very rarely play them, and I managed to get a couple of pieces only in the very few rarity that I got them. So whether they've tweaked the drop rate or not, I don't know. But I've still known people who play hundreds of these things and still haven't been able to complete a set for themselves, let alone a set for anything. They get one piece here, one piece there, or it's a different mark value or whatnot. They're still trying to get a full-on setup on there. Omega says Season 7 should be on Tribble in about 2 weeks. That's probably I don't know if it's a little presumptuous to go there. But we'll see. So Captain MD says he got back-to-back prototype tech once on all 3 space maps. That's some really good luck. I've never even heard of somebody getting it like that, but that's definitely good luck. Give me just a moment. So, will there be a possibility to cancel running fleet projects? Now, before I read the answer to this, and I'm kind of putting my hand up so I don't see it, I would love if there was a way to cancel fleet projects. The problem with that is that what do you do with all the contributions? People have contributed to it. Does it go into a holding? Or does it get refunded and people lose fleet credits? What happens if people deposit and then spend those fleet credits, but now you're canceling the project? It's kind of weird. But anyway, D-Stall says, we are considering this change and may offer the ability in the future to cancel progress on fleet projects after they are in progress. However, it may be that if you do so, you will lose all progress and contributions that had been made to the project while retaining your fleet credit. Okay, that answers my question. We are also looking into the issue where fleets missed out on special projects due to another project being slotted. In either event, we do plan to rerun previous special projects in the future, so if you miss one on the first go around, there will be a chance to get it again. Also, who can cancel the projects? If you're not fully aware of how the fleet progression system works, the fleet leader can designate certain ranks in the fleet to be able to manage the fleet holdings. Now, the fleet holdings have nothing to do with the fleet store per se. The fleet holdings is basically, it should be, the wording should be changed, because there's a separate flag that you can activate to allow your fleet to access the store, and then there's a separate flag you can activate in your fleet options so that certain ranks of your fleet can access the holdings to be able to change things. In my fleet, it's myself, and actually, to be honest with you, it's all the officer ranks in my fleet. The top 4 tiers have the ability to modify, add, change, delete, or queue projects. Most of them, though, the lower officers, my ensigns, my lieutenants, will receive their orders from my admirals or my commanders, or we talk about it in advance. We say, okay, this is the way we're going, and we have a spreadsheet or a forum post that we look at. Okay, this is what we're doing this week. These are the tentative time frames, and I check on it. I check on it pretty much daily just to make sure the time frames are moving along and that we're sticking with the projects. Polonia says, really believe we need to keep it right as restricted as possible. It needs to be under control. There's been people who have said, the higher officers can see two tiers. They see what's in progress, and then they also see what's coming. Some people have said, well, it's not fair for the other people because they can't see what's coming. They can't better plan or prepare. While I understand that, it's one of those things where I don't know how they would work the mechanic in it. I think everybody should be able to see not only what's in progress, but what's coming up next. But again, only certain people should be able to change what's queued, and hopefully what'll be deletable. I think that should definitely be held at the top project, so it can't be overly manipulated or somebody can get screwed out of a project. Moving along, the requirements for Tier 3 fleet projects are very high. And I read this and I laugh because if they're asking about Tier 3 projects, wait till they get to Tier 4. Are you planning on adjusting the system for smaller fleets? For example, depending on the number of members. D-Stall says, we review the status of all fleet starbases on holodeck regularly and have been adjusting project inputs and prices, in some cases to find more balance given the progress of different size fleets are making. In some cases, instead of reducing the inputs of the projects, we have increased the abundance at which you receive inputs needed for projects, basically the requirements. We will continue to adjust and monitor these numbers to ensure that all fleets are making progress as expected over time. As we introduce new fleet holding in Season 7, we will be making some additional adjustments on project requirements. Live stream video gone for me. The room's gone, but why is audio only? I have no idea why the live stream is not working. Okay, I'm about to say I didn't do anything, so it may have just been a hiccup in the streaming. Don't know why. I'm checking everything real quick. Everything still looks good. So if it went down, I apologize. The replay will still all be there. It probably just blurped the video for just a second, probably because either my screensaver was kicking on or something, or I haven't moved in a while. So, be that as it may, I don't know which fleets are at the highest. I know we're at level 12 with 9,000 fleet XP. We have the industrial replicator is already in progress. I think we have like 3 days left before it finishes. Any chance on TeamSpeak gets us so I don't lose audio, please? Angelus, I will fix TeamSpeak stuff at a later date. Let me get finished with this stuff here. What it boils down to is that I don't know whether or not there's a fleet at Tier 5 already. I haven't seen any screenshot. I would think if somebody's already hit Tier 5, we would have heard about it already. I know we heard, people boasting that they were going to be Tier 4 by the end of the month, but that was last month, not this month, and I didn't see any progress from it. I think next episode, once we hit Tier 4, I'm going to, make that episode all about, what it took to get through Tier 4 and whatnot. I know with the construction projects for Tier 4 being 10 days, it's just one of those things where you start a project and you just got to kind of wait. Omega asks, do we have Tier 3 shipyard? Yes, we have everything Tier 3 is done. We have everything Tier 3 done. Right now we're just waiting on the industrial fabricator to finish. That'll give us enough XP to open up and begin construction on Starbase Tier 4. And then we'll be able to, I believe the next one up will be the shipyard Tier 4, and then we'll focus on getting the science and the transwarp gate all upgraded for that. Once I get the bulk of the main show here for Stoked On, I'll jump on the game and, I'll show you everything that's popping up there. So, back to the Ask Cryptic. Will Stow be added to the core Connect system with achievements, rewards, or etc., or will it only be Raptor and Facebook? Now, I don't know what the core Connect system is. This is completely foreign to me. D-Stall says, we are working with Perfect World to eventually move Stow into the core Connect platform so that we can share rewards and achievements across the platform. For now, there are some additional technology connections that need to be made between Cryptic and Perfect World before we can make this happen. We do want to see cool, new, useful rewards as a part of the core system. I don't know what the core system is. I'll be dead honest with you. I don't play any other Perfect World games. I didn't even know who Perfect World was until they bought out Stow. Maybe that's bad for me. I guess it's a good idea. The Raptor thing, it came and went. I had it installed. I used it. I stopped using it. No, Angelus, it's fine. If you want to join the channel, join the channel. I don't hear the audio sounds from TeamSpeak, so you can go ahead and join. You don't have to worry about that. Only you guys hear that when that happens. You mentioned the reputation in quote system a lot recently. Any chance we could get a few details to chew on while we wait for its release? And this one was a huge response from D-Stall. Certainly, we are introducing 2 new reputations with Season 7, Romulans and the Omega Fleet. These reputations will exist as a new tab on the status window. The system was designed at the same time that we created the Fleet system, so anyone who has used the Fleet Project contribution user interface will be familiar with how the reputation system works. Similar to Fleet Holdings, reputations will require projects where players will contribute items they've earned through gameplay toward advancement. Each reputation has at least one unique input that is tied to mission drops and rewards. For example, the new Romulan reputation will require items that can be found by helping the Romulan colonists in Season 7, with all the various tasks they need done in order to secure their colony. Similarly, the Omega Fleet rep will require items found in STFs, including the new Into the Hive STF. As you rank up each reputation, it will unlock new rewards at each tier. These rewards may include new passive and active captain powers, or even new equipment or officers. Unlike the Fleet system, reputation rewards do not require provisioning, but instead require special projects that once finished can be used to claim the individual reward. In the future, we have plans to add more reputations for other factions and political entities within the Star Trek universe. So basically, it sounds like it's more special projects, but the special projects are going to be directly tied to either STFs for Omega reputation or Romulan missions for the Romulan reputation. And what you're going to get is you're going to get items from those missions that you will be able to contribute to gain more reputation. And, it'll be something that I'm sure will be expansive and huge and all that stuff later on as the system progresses. So with that little teaser, I am kind of excited in seeing how it works. Captain MD, you are right about that. The fleet progression system is really sucking up a lot of dilithium. Whether it be special projects, whether it be the active projects, there's a lot of dilithium being expended in that system. And I have yet to really learn how to quote-unquote grind dilithium at a high volume. I've got guys in the fleet who are doing it, and I really have to stop being so lazy and actually get it. But with working the regular job and working, this, it's really hard. I don't even know how to pronounce that name. I'll just say Grizz. Grizz, you're right. It doesn't sound like the playable faction will be available. It's just kind of going to be an add-on. But again, we'll see. And if it starts out as an add-on, hey, great. It seems like a dilithium sink is being used, but the only thing I can see this useful for is Cryptic to clear some Zen. Maybe they'll give it out. They haven't seen a real reduction in Zen numbers on dilithium. I've been watching the exchange off and on, and I saw it plummet severely a few weeks ago, where it used to, dilithium used to be 216, 220 per Zen, and then it took a nosedive where it went to 150. Really, it was, I think I saw a 152, 151 not too long ago. I think maybe about a week ago. It really seriously took a nosedive. And I don't know if it's just because people are becoming more stingy with their dilithium, or there's not a lot of people doing dilithium farming. It did raise a little bit with the lockbox. I think it jumped up to 162 or 165 for a few days, and then it kind of peaked and then teaked out a little bit. The available Zen hasn't changed. It's just the price of it keeps changing. So I'm trying to. It's hard to tell what really influences the dilithium market. Is it just, and I seriously think the lockbox has definitely influenced the dilithium market, because then you have people trading in dilithium for Zen to buy keys to open boxes. So, I mean, obviously there's a direct correlation there, but it's really weird to watch how that market fluctuates and swings so wildly. Going back to the Ask Cryptic, is there any news you'd like to share about the possible re-imaging of the exploration system in general? D-Stall says, well, we haven't talked a lot about the exploration system. It is one part of the game that we intend to address in an upcoming season. He doesn't say what season, he just says in an upcoming season, and has been my personal to-do list for some time. We've been reading some of the fine proposals that have been proposed on the forums, as well as discussing the role that the Foundry should play in exploration. The core concept is that exploration should involve heading out into the unknown, which means traveling into new sectors away from known space. In addition, exploration should offer a variety of gameplay other than just combat. As we look at the proposals on the table, the ones that are getting the most traction include new types of gameplay that allow captains to make choices and have strategies for how they approach the unknown. More than one of these proposals finds the new purpose for duty and bridge officers. We also see an opportunity for fleets and reputations to play a part in discovery. So while exploration is not on the schedule for Season 7 or 8, it is something we are planning for and will implement as we continue to move forward in the game. I hope that they don't focus exploration on the DOF system, because that's not really exploring anything. That's not the going out into the unknown. Now, tying it into the Foundry, I agree with to a point. The point that I'm going to make is, if they're going to sit there and say, well, we're going to open up all this unknown sector space, and then we're going to open up these little anchor spots for Foundry missions, or you pick up a Foundry mission just to travel to unknown sector space, and so on and so forth. If they're going to do that, they better give the Foundry authors a lot more tools than they have. A lot more creative control over the aliens, the ships, and stuff like that, so they can try to create unique alien content, and unique storylines. They really, really, really need to do that, and then give the Foundry authors the ability to plug in puzzles and yes or no gates, where it's like, well, if they choose this option, the other options are lost. This gives a replayability to the Foundry missions, so that there's a different way they can go. They really, really need to open up the tool set. Now, I have not seen the tool set for Neverwinter. Some people are already starting to test it, from what I'm aware of. I haven't got in to test the Neverwinter tool set of the Neverwinter Foundry. I've heard there's some great tools in there, so I'm excited to hopefully see a lot of those tools transition over. But until I get with Murphy and the Foundry guys, I don't know. And I'm having kind of a power issue all of a sudden. My lights are starting to flicker, and it's not raining, so I don't know why. So I'm going to keep going here, so in case I lose the stream, I can, at least end the show quickly. Will we see Space Invasion Zone go along with the ground version? By invasion zones, I'm going to assume you are referring to the Borg invasion and Defira, and the Tholian invasion on Nukara. Both of these zones are largely persistent zones with a variety of missions that scale in difficulty from easy to hard. We have started referring to these types of areas internally as adventure zones. Thus far, they have been focused on captain-only gameplay on the ground. In Season 7, we are going to add third-party ground adventure zones, which will be slightly larger and the missions mostly different than the two previous zones. We will also allow captains to bring along a bridge officer while on the surface. Well, that's kind of neat. And a full away team when delving deeper into the instances. To answer the question, in Season 8 and beyond, we plan to take this design and begin building similar adventure zones in space. So, interesting concept. So now they're calling those particular zones adventure zones. So it's just one of those things. Yeah, maybe I have a temporal lockbox that's coming into my Dropbox that I don't know about, that I'm getting some temporal time shifting here. Really weird, the way the light's flickering. Will there ever be other ways of earning Lobi crystals beside from the lockboxes? D-Stall says, some Lobi crystals can be earned during feature episode replay weeks, and we are planning on hooking up more Lobi to upcoming events. Yes, they do. In my opinion, they do need to make Lobi more available. Even if it's small amounts of Lobi, they need to make it available other than the lockboxes. That's my opinion. Some people will say no. Some people will say yes. Some people will say it'll devalue the Lobi store. Some people will say it will increase. It will cause them to increase the value of the Lobi store in order to compensate for the influx of new ways to get Lobi. But I do think there needs to be other ways to get Lobi, and they really do need to do a feature replay soon. Because there's so much stuff now in the Lobi store that I'm looking at going, man, I want to get that. I want to get that. But, like I said, I'm on my 12 steps program, and I'm not allowed to buy keys and open boxes. So until they make it so that you can trade Lobi on a market, I'm kind of stuck. Is there been any consideration given to updating what we can craft by adding Mark 12 craftables and or other special damage types such as the Plasma Disruptor Hybrid, Polarized Tetryon, and Phase Polaron? I know there are a number of players who would love to be able to obtain weapons other than the two currently offered for those damage types. There has been some talk about adding additional ways to obtain these types of Mark 12 items, and the options are going to be either through a crafting update or via a high-tier project in the new reputation system. Check out the new item creation projects in the reputation system in Season 7 for more details. I might not have everything you're asking about, but we're going to be adding these Mark 12 items over time. Now, I did come across an upgrade kind of thing, and I thought it was new, but apparently it wasn't. Coliseum, when you get the Riemann shield, the Riemann prototype shield, and then there are DOF missions where you can get other prototype devices, I believe a prototype deflector and a prototype engine from the Riemanns, and then other DOF missions can be used to upgrade those. I think that's how they're going to tie it in when you look at it. So whether that's exactly what they're doing, right? The Vault grants, and the Vault mission grants data logs for doing those DOF missions. So that's how I think they're going to do it when it comes to upgrading gear for a specialty, because it's already a system that's in there. It wasn't a very widely talked about system, but it's there. So so you do the Vault mission, and you get the data logs, then you do the data logs with the DOF missions to upgrade the pieces and parts, and you can get them all the way to Mark 12 that way, if you do enough of the Vault mission events. So that's how I think they're going to do it. I just happened to come across that recently when I was screwing around, because, again, I don't do a lot of that. I don't think I've ever done the Vault mission, ever. It's kind of weird. Could we have some more races and vessels from Voyager? Perhaps the Kazon, Malon, Vidians, and the Talaxians. D-Cell says, eventually we do plan to start opening up sectors in the direction of the Delta Quadrant. Several of the races you've mentioned are on our list of potential enemies that would appear in those sectors, but we are also considering the Krenim, the Devore, the Hierarchy, as well as additional Borg. There is a slight chance of one of the Delta Quadrant races would appear in Season 8, but it most likely will be Season 9 or later before you'd see some more of the Delta Quadrant stuff. And here's where I scratch my head and go, really? We're this far into the future in the timeline in the game, and we can't get to the Delta Quadrant? Really? I'm just going to leave it at that. Will the reputation system tie into actual story mission content, or will it be more like the DOF assignment or like Starbase projects? He kind of already answered that. It's going to be a lot more like... It's going to be a combination of both, but more leaning toward the Starbase projects. What is a captain to do with the GPL that we've got left over from Christmas? Diesel says, rumor has it that the Ferengi have been negotiating some deals that will offer new items for GPL this holiday. Here's where I go sigh and go, why is GPL listed as a holiday thing? They had so much potential for GPL, and I've heard so many different ideas about what they could have done with GPL. It's just one of those things where it's like they could really expand on it, and they're just kind of playing with it and toying with it. Stomac says, When, if ever, are we going to finally see customizable ground kits? This is a question that's been asked 100 times, and I want to know too. D-Stall says, one of the features that's being considered for Season... It is one of the features being considered for Season 8, but it hasn't been finalized yet. We do want to get this feature out in the next year, so if it isn't Season 8, it will be sometime shortly after that. And again, if they have a system in place using the DOFs and the data logs to upgrade equipment, why can't they allow you to upgrade, engineering kits? Or seriously, why can't you just go to like a quote-unquote armory on your ship and say, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this. 4 pieces that I'll be able to carry with me that'll give me those powers. Just like you have on the bottom, where you have a bar where you slot your tools, where your hypos and your tribbles, and some of your other special items. I think they should make 4 more slots, depending on, for each job, where you can slot a power. Maybe I want phaser turrets, but I don't want quantum. I don't want quantum turrets. I want a different class or a different variant of my exocomp. Or maybe I want to use pits for. Maybe I want a thermal vent instead of a stasis field. I think those are things that. Let's break down the kits into constituent pieces and then allow a player to slot 4 of those pieces. I mean, I don't think it's that hard. I mean, I'm sure it requires a huge UI change and other stuff like that. Or maybe it's as simple as, we'll just create 4 new slots on your avatar paper doll sheets so that you can, plug them in there. I mean, I think that would be something that would be worthwhile. I would use it. I mean, plus it would open up a variety. I know, a massive testing problem. Make sure no combo is too OP. But here's the thing. For me to consider something OP, if it's available to everybody, then it's available to everybody. So everybody can choose that option. So it's still a level playing field. It's not like it's limited to just one person. Kits equal 20 inventory slots. So, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be anytime you come up with something where you can combine one power or another, it's going to be considered OP. The cooldowns and stuff like that are still going to be there, but it gives more variety. Plus, you can seriously, you can create a really diverse team, for STFs and other events where they can go in there and, you say you have a tactical that's all pure stealth and pure melee, or you got an engineer that's all ranged, DPS, or a true science guy that's all healing, that has all the best healing powers. Again, you're gonna have to, earn them or buy them or craft them or whatever to get them, but you give the players the ability to choose that route, and then obviously you're going to have to worry about your skill points and respecking in order to balance it out. Right, tax, science, engineering, not everybody has. It's just that simple. So I think it would open up a huge diversity, and I think it would definitely revamp crafting and bring crafting back in the game if they added that kind of thing into it. I like the idea. Whether it's feasible, I don't know. I mean, you figure if you can customize your ship with different weapons, I mean, you can go rainbow ship with torpedoes or rainbow ship with beams if you want to. Nobody said it was practical, but you could. First fix on crafting remove dilithium. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see about that one. Is there an ETA on the Vesta class? It will launch next month, November, the same day as the release for Season 7. So, new ship coming. Again, here's where I say, open up Utopia Planitia. Put the Vesta in there. Oh, somebody I guess there's a tweet now for Vesta on the screenshot. Oh, without its patterns. Let's see if we can pull that up for everybody to take a look at here. It's like a giant spoon. Yeah, Season 7, it was slated for November. They did confirm it. I believe they said late November. So, for those of you who can see it, it was tweeted out there for the Vesta. I got it up there on the live stream so you can see it. It's a huge fucking saucer. It's a big old shovel is what it looks like to me. I'm glad they're finally skinning it and putting it out there. I can only assume it's on Tribble, hidden somewhere. Livestream isn't showing the photo. How odd. Let me quickly change over here and flip back. It should be showing it. Oh, sorry. There it is. Now it is. Okay, so it must be on a delay. And I apologize for the delay. Yeah, to me it looks like a big spoon. Or a spork. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. That's a work in progress. There's a newer screenshot. Zero, if you can pull the screenshot, I'll gladly put it up there. So, Vesta's a science vessel. People listening in on TeamSpeak. Yeah, there's a delay on... If you're listening to me on TeamSpeak, you're going to hear everything the fastest, and there's going to be a delay on the stream. It takes a second. So I'm interested in the Vesta. If it's a science ship, I'm kind of like, okay, it'll be interesting. I'm an engineer. This is kind of the things that kind of hurts me with the Wells. The Wells is a science ship or a tactical ship, but I'm an engineer. Give me universal slots and make it so it's more open, and we'll talk. Why do projects die as staff rotates out or takes leave of absence? The 700-day veteran android, first officer, department heads, off-duty clothing revamp, etc. were all close to being done, and then the person working on it left the dev team or went on leave of absence and the project was scrapped. D-Stall says there's a couple of reasons why you might think that some projects were close to being done and they appear to be going nowhere. First of all, as a small team, every individual has a large amount of ownership over a specific area of the game. If any one person leaves, then there's a void that has to be filled by somebody else. In the case of many of the items you mentioned, these were individual side projects that each individual owner had decided to add to their own schedule and had in some cases even communicated on the forums that they would like to, quote-unquote, get that done sometime. Many times these after-work projects or items were never scheduled originally into the game. The individual owners wanted to get that done out of their own desires to answer player feedback. So when that person leaves, it's not always, as is not always the case, that project is never anywhere near done, nor is the case that they never communicated what their intentions were when they began it. We will allow this level of entrepreneurial spirit. We allow this level of spirit on the team, but as he's well aware, D-Stall, when you communicate what you would like to do, it can haunt you when it doesn't get done. For the most part, the individuals who mentioned these features should not have done so until they were certain they could be implemented. Eek. That's not to say that features like first officer, department heads, and off-duty revamps will not happen. In an MMO, anything can eventually happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if these features are in the game in the future, but for now they're on hold until someone else on the team picks up where the owner left off. Yikes. So basically that's one of those kind of things where it's like, if you don't think you can complete the project, don't talk about it. Let's see, got another picture. Yeah, see, I saw this one. I like this picture too, of the Vesta class. And eventually I'd like to see an all angle on it, top, down, left, right, and so on and so forth. It's a very interesting looking ship, and considering it's coming out in a month or so, I'm interested. Hey, I'm still interested and I'm still playing the game, so I'm more than willing to wait. For those of you on the live stream, it should be coming up here in just a few seconds for you to be able to see it live there on the live stream. Okay, so we're just about halfway through this Ask Cryptic, so here we go. Could there be a way for fleets to see how much fleet members have contributed in the fleet roster area instead of the contribution section? D-Stall says, this is a great suggestion, and now that we are adding multiple fleet holdings next season, it will be a good idea to see an aggregate of fleet contribution across all holdings. The roster page seems like a good place to put this. I'm not quite sure what they're looking for, because if you look at the leaderboard, you can see how much a fleet member has contributed. So if unless they're just trying to do a lazy man's way of saying, okay, well, this member's done this member's done this, instead of going all through the leaderboard, I guess that's what they're looking for, is the ability to see what exactly a person is contributing or not contributing. And I can see how that can be a useful tool for fleet management, maybe fleet promotions or incentives and so on. I was wondering as to the status of pure story-driven content in a similar vein to the original campaign's plot arc, and was wondering when we'll see our next big story update. D-Stall says we will be continuing the story arc of the Romulans in Season 7 and in Season 8, as well as introducing some new characters and plot points to help advance the primary campaign plot. In addition, we expect to see the return of featured episode series starting in Season 8. When Season 8 is, we have no idea. Some people say the leaderboard is also flawed. It doesn't add up extra credits from the lockbox items and doesn't take into account purchases either. I can see why you would say it's flawed, but again, the bonus fleet marks or bonus fleet credits you get is bonus to just you. So the actual contribution is accurate, but you're getting a bonus because you're using a bonus item to get that bonus. So I would rather see the leaderboard stay exactly the way it is instead of adding into that manually inflated count. So I would rather see it the way it is than have them start really counting up what a person actually has or doesn't have when it comes to credits and marks. I would like to see, though, them add it so that you can see in the fleet roster who's got what marks. Because this way you could say, hey, so-and-so is holding on to like 800 fleet marks, why don't you deposit some? Kind of like the proverbial kick in the boot, boot to the ass there. It's like, hey, you need to drop some of your marks, quit hoarding them. Again, it could be a way to measure, whether a person is really contributing to the fleet or not. Maybe they've got fleet marks, but they haven't had a chance to contribute because all the projects are always used up. That would be another way to help organize that. Season 8 should be in February for the 3rd anniversary. Possibly. Somebody said on the chat there. Are you guys ever going to expand the system beyond Vice Admiral, or is that it? If you are, is there a time frame for this to happen? Okay, that's kind of a question that's already been answered. We know that they're going to expand it. When they're going to expand it, it's kind of, up to them. They're focusing on the reputation system. And it looks like I've hit the bottom of the Ask Cryptic. Last question. Any chance we will get the account-bound STF tech drops? D-Stall says the entire reward structure for the STFs is being revamped in Season 7 and being converted into the new Omega Fleet reputation system. There will be an upcoming blog post that will explain the conversion that will be happening and how the previous dropped items are being incorporated into the new personal advancement system. As such, the function of these items will be changing slightly, and we do not intend to make them account-bound, since they will be directly tied into personal achievement for the captain who plays the STF. Check the website for more information about these changes as we get closer to Season 7. So, point blank, no, STF tech drops will not be account bound. It's going to be designated for the captain that you're playing, which kind of is a kick in the teeth, a little bit, but I understand it. For players who have tons of captains, it just means extra work. For players who are like the Freepers, who are only playing one captain or one captain on each side, it's very simple. They play, they earn. That's simple. But for those of us who have multiple characters, like I've got a science tech and engineer on both sides, I've got extra characters that I play with my girlfriend when she plays, it just means I'm going to have to repeat the work again over and over and over. So, when will the next... let's see, I may ask in the chat. Well, the next rank should be just an admiral, then fleet admiral, shouldn't it? Yeah, I agree. It could be that. Whether I totally agree with that or not, I don't know. We'll see what happens when that pops up. So, be that as it may, that is everything I have to cover when it comes to the Ask Cryptic. Now, I'll go ahead and open it up to the chat room here. If there was anything that caught your attention, let's see, Captain MD, like the forum post. Let's see what we got going on here. Short clip from Into the Darkness. Okay. If there's anything that you guys thought that stood out, that you liked or didn't like in this month's Ask Cryptic. So what do you guys think? And here I get crickets in the TeamSpeak now because they're not sure who I'm talking to.
I haven't read it yet, so
Oh,
I skimmed through it. Hold on, let me skim through it. Somebody else wants to take the stage. Go ahead.
Well, personally, I'm looking forward to the reputation system. My only gripe, of course, is if it requires more dilithium, because obviously we're having a little bit of a problem keeping up with that with all the fleet projects. But otherwise, I'm kind of interested in knowing what these items are that's going to go into these reputation projects, whether it be, it could be encrypted data chips, I hope.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Lithium is an awfully requested currency at the moment with all these starbases. And another thing about that reputation system, which I was curious about, was what would happen to the old STFs that we currently have now. And it kind of gets answered there in the last few questions. There, and I was hoping it would stay in some personal ways, so I could at least get it if it didn't get now before Season 7.
right. It would seem that the STFs themselves will still stay, but with a reputation system, I think that, I don't know, and until we really see it, I don't know if it's going to make it easier to get tech drops or harder. Now, you would think in a reputation system, he who plays and earns a higher reputation will get a drop. So instead of it being a totally random luck scenario, maybe now they're working on it so that the more you play it, you'll earn it. I don't know. When you think about a reputation system that cumulatively keeps increasing over time, you would think that that's how they're going to tie that in there. You'll be able to, if you repeat it enough times, you'll get the items necessary to unlock that particular item. I don't know. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, my gut feeling is it's going to be a lot like gaining expertise. So the more you run stuff, the more you'll gather stuff over time. And I know I've heard a few people actually say it's comparable to the, as much as I had said, the Tor legacy system.
Right, where you can get a lot of, you'll get legacy ranks, but then you have to spend money to unlock that particular unlock. But the unlock becomes available once you hit a certain rank. Anybody else have any questions or comments or concerns regarding the Ask Cryptic, or any observations in the game that they've made before we close out Stoked?
I was liking the Purple Mark 12 ship console question, because when the DOF system came out and that new mission came where you could get Mark 12 consoles, it seemed fairly good, but my only concern with that would be, can we choose the consoles? Because at the moment with that DOF system, the way it works, you don't get to choose, you just get a random drop, which, is still great, you're getting something free out of it, but I may not want the science consoles, and yes, I could sell a Purple Mark 12 science console and save up the money continually to get the phaser console, for example, but I'd still think it'd be better if we had the option to choose which console we could get out the drop if it succeeded. So the new system, it might work out better.
Right, where you can actually pick the, if with the reputation system you can pick the direction, just like you can pick what active projects you want for what tier, whether it be military, sci, or engineering. If you're able to make that same focus in the reputation system so that you can work toward the goal of what you want. Yeah, it may be a little bit harder to get that console, but you're working toward that specific console for that specific captain, not just following one line and, oh, well, I got a TAC console and I really don't need a TAC console. I need an engineering or a science one. So yeah, no, that's definitely makes sense if they do it like that. And hopefully they do implement it like that.
I also recall Heretics mentioned once that his original intention with these Mark 12 consoles, they are kept extremely rare, so that the whole random thing in the current DOF assignment was there because people would probably just farm the stuff that they want and then stop.
Another possibility, always. Anybody else? Appreciate that, Wee and Angelus. Anybody else got anything?
Well, you guys were talking earlier about the bug with the fleet shields, and that kind of reminds me a couple other interesting things came into the game. I think mainly with last week's patch, But lately, apparently Klingon and Federation players have been able to transwarp to the opposing faction's home territory for some reason. Because I have seen a couple forum posts about this, and when I was waiting to tour the universe for a couple days, I've noticed Admiral Quinn had his legs practically through the dance floor in Club 47 with the commander from Doomsday Device standing next to him.
Interesting.
Has anybody else noticed this besides me?
Yeah,
I've experienced that as well, yeah.
I heard about it
noticed
on
it.
podcast
There was
UGC.
also Sulu was standing outside Club 47 for no reason, and several of the security escorts on ESD are walking around with their weapons pulled, shields down, injured as well.
I think it's like Klingons are going over there and just shooting the NPCs up to move them around and stuff.
I can say the reverse is actually also true, because I've seen Starfleet players potentially in revenge going to Klingon Academy and killing all the people there, including Stas, the Doff guy, all the vendors, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just Klingons going to Fed space, it's Feds going to Klingons.
Do we have you seen Feds going in there?
I was there a couple of days ago in Klingon Academy, and I actually ended up going to my medic and healing all of the vendors to make sure they don't die.
That's pretty funny. I wonder how the Feds are getting there.
Even Worf has suffered from the Federation's wrath.
Looks like the war can use.
At least he was when I was there.
So, anybody got anything else that's piqued their mind, interested in the last week about the game? Things they're looking forward to, other than the reputation system? Obviously, featured episode. Well, it'd be nice to see. Nice to see something. I'm starting to get more and more interested in the Vesta. Hopefully, it'll hit Tribble soon, so we'll be able to really take a look at it.
I think another thing that's been on recent minds is the 1,000-day vet reward chips. What they're going to be, all we've heard so far is that they're going to be a Fed and a Klingon, and both going to be destroyers.
Well,
now, that's coming up soon.
We heard Chimera class. I've seen different images for the, what the ship's going to be. Nothing that's, been definitive that says this is exactly what it is, or this is not what it's going to be. So yeah, I'm interested as well to see what that is. I'm only about 15 days away. Some of you guys out there are, we're looking at maybe a week, 7 days away from finding out what, the 1,000-day vet reward ship is going to be. And, hopefully, again, this comes down to the specialization thing. Hopefully it's not going to be something that's limited to just, one, oh, well, now you have this destroyer. Well, the destroyer is great for engineers, but what if, I'm flying attack primarily, or I'm flying, a psi primarily. What's a destroyer going to do for me? Hopefully it'll be laid out where it'll be more universal.
Just if people weren't aware already, destroyers already exist on the Klingon side. They're the Norscan ship, the Garumba, the Scourge destroyers. All of those are classed as destroyers. So I'm thinking if that rumor is true, then there would be something similar to that. Just to clarify, destroyers are basically escorts, but slightly different.
But still, that doesn't change the fact we're engineers and science people who want their engineer science ships.
No, it doesn't. But what it does lay out is the fact that if those are exactly what it says in the tin, then the 1,000-day vet rewards, this is all purely speculation, would be essentially escorts.
Right. For those of you that heard me talking earlier about the dance floor and where I'm predicting the dance floor be the next special project, for those that were on Tribble, if you're looking on the live stream, this is where the dance floor, that these two white binding points here, this is where the dance floor was on Tribble, right up here. It was near the bar. So I'm thinking that's going to be the next project. There's also another bind point down here. I'm not quite sure what that bind point is on the floor there, or what's going to attach there. But I'm hoping that the dance floor comes soon, now that the bar is done. And I'm going to go sit at my conference table for a second and then look at the fleet progression list and see where we're at.
It's going to be the security cameras we saw on the wall.
Oh. Those aren't there yet? Yeah, I guess they're not there yet.
Yeah, that's the next project. It's just the security cameras.
Oh, security cameras, yay.
I think Maverick's itching to bust a move on the dance floor.
Dude, he has been.
You know who he is.
Hey, I'm just trying to, find more fun things to do in the game. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not having fun in the game. I mean, I am. But, it's just one of those things.
Just be happy you got your office.
Yes, I'm happy I have my office.
You can always come roleplay on Starfleet Academy.
Speaking about role play, there was some questions I think that were asked of me the other day if Jupiter Force does role play and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's the Permadeath group or Theta Squad and all that stuff.
That's not as much role play as it is Permadeath, but I think somebody was trying to set up role play. I don't know if that went through or not.
So
but we have interest.
So somebody was asking me on the chat, where is Jupiter Force at? Okay, here's where we're at. We're fleet level 12, 9,000 XP. Engineering tier 3 is already done and in progress. We are 75% done with military tier 3, and then we're going to shift focus into science. As you can see,
sorry, Math 4.
I'm sorry, tier 4. I apologize. Excuse me. We've got 3 days left for Industrial Fabricator 4 to finish, in which that should give us enough XP to unlock and start construction on tier 5. All of our projects right now, we're all focused on tactical. As soon as tactical gets filled up, all these red slots will fill in with green, and then we'll focus on science and get that knocked out the way. So that's what somebody was asking, where we're at on our star base. Provisions-wise, we're pretty stocked on everything. It's an open store. Any of my members can, other than the trial members, can go in and purchase, so long as they've got fleet credits and dilithium to buy. Hey, you knock yourself out. And I'll go ahead and pimp out the top 10 here. Maxina, Moklaw, Bridger, Powerhelm, Spudboy, Fathom, Keenan, pretty much round out, and Bridger, who likes to make sure that his name is everywhere, is on here like 4 or 5 times in the top. Where am I at? I'm somewhere in the 528,000 contribution. So while I'm not the top tier guy because I'm busy running stuff, I'm still up there, at least on the first page. So
any excuse.
I think you should just get credits for doing this.
I wish I could get credits.
Cryptic.
Donate me fleet marks for the show, or whatnot. So,
do lock off the donations sometimes. So that's how you catch up.
Yeah, I do occasionally, every so often. I whore a project to myself and say, nope, none of you guys can contribute. This one's mine. I've got all the materials for it, and I do it. Yeah, so I'm guilty of it. I'll admit. Anyway. That's pretty much it for Stoked Radio today. I want to thank everybody for joining me on the live stream chat, everybody for joining me in the Trek Radio chat. Thanks for everybody who's been listening on Trek Radio. I appreciate always your time for giving me. You can always catch episodes of Stoked. I was like, goodness gracious, with all the changes. Stoked Radio is live on Saturdays from 2 p.m. Eastern to usually 3 or 4. It depends on how much stuff we have to talk about. But it does start live 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, every Saturday if there's content to talk about. If not, it's every other Saturday or a supplemental. It is also available on replay at livestream.com/Stoked Radio. It's also available on the TV channel. It'll cycle through, or you can pick it up on demand. You can also pick up old episodes of Stoked Radio, and soon all old episodes of Stoked on demand there as well. So it's just, there's always a way to pick us up here. We're working on the audio stream and getting all that stuff squared away so that the audio stream is available and syndicated through iTunes. So that you'll be able to pretty much get your Stoked fix just about anywhere. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining me for this episode of Stoked. I'm always willing to take your emails, always at maverick@stokedradio.net. Again, thank you for joining me here for Stoked, and I'll be returning to Trek Radio back to your normal scheduled programming. Thank you very much for joining me.
This is Lisa Lo Cicero, Ensign Meryl Paris from Voyager, and you are listening to Trek Radio.
For your live stream, guys, give me just a second here while we work out one quick technical issue. I did not have the return to radio programming up and available, so give me just a second, and we'll get you guys back to the regular Trek Radio. Again, thanks for joining me here on this week's episode of Stoked. You guys have a good afternoon. Okay, for those of you that are still on the live stream that we're watching, I'm going to go ahead and cut out here. Mav has the color-coded power icons mod on the live stream. Yes, I do still have those. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Stoked Radio, and we'll see you guys all